Afternoon, folks. Brian here. It's Geomagnetic Earthwatch on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 on our planet. Hope you're all well. Take a look what I got here, folks. I got some pieces of a puzzle. I know what each piece is, and I believe that I can bring it together to form a future event. You like puzzles? Let's get into it. The first piece of the puzzle is the Ark of Gabriel and the Antarctic connection. I did this video once before. I'm just doing it again. I'm just adding in some points. The legend of the Ark of Gabriel has ties to both the Christian and Islamic faiths, in that Archangel Gabriel is sacred to both. He foretold the birth of Jesus and dictated the entirety of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It is said that the Ark of Gabriel is, or was, buried beneath the Grand Mosque of Mecca, awaiting for the end of times, not to be opened or used until such times as it contained the power of God. Mecca was also the place of worship of the angels before the creation of man. This is where the angels met to do their prayers, in Mecca. Now I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to go back during the Roman Crusades. In the year 1204, when they pillaged various institutions. However, the Eastern Orthodox Church saved the Islamic faith, religious documents, and a certain set of manuscripts called Gabriel's Instructions to Muhammad, which tells of an ark that holds tremendous powers. Jumping back to the current time, due to the ever-growing influx of pilgrims to Mecca to perform their Hajj and their prayers, Saudi Arabia had to continually be upgrading and expanding the Grand Mosque to accommodate millions and millions of pilgrims. On September 12, 2015, a construction crew who was working underneath the Grand Mosque, not knowing the location of the Ark of Gabriel, stumbled upon its presence. And in their attempt to move it, 107 workers were killed by a sudden energy plasma from the Ark. 12 days later, and a second attempt was made to remove the Ark, and a much stronger plasma emission resulted in the killing of those workers, as well as 2,400 pilgrims above. There's another report that is 4,000 pilgrims, as well as the toppling over of a construction crane. The Saudis had to come up with a cover story. History is filled with cover stories. The cover story to explain all these thousands of deaths being a dust storm, a windstorm. A lot of what I'm telling you, you can confirm on the internet yourself. Very little of it is speculation, conjecture. The Grand Mosque emissaries reached out to the Russian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirill, knowing that the church was in possession of Gabriel's instructions to Muhammad, which had instructions on how to safely move the Ark. Putin was first made aware on September 27, 2015, and ordered the research vessel Admiral Vladimirsky to Jeddah, the port of Saudi Arabia, close to Mecca, along with a fleet of his naval vessels. The purpose was to remove the Ark of Gabriel and take it to a safe location. So again, upon being briefed by the catastrophic potential of the Ark of Gabriel, Putin answered their request. Three days later, coincidentally, Putin ordered the bombing of the ISIS camps in Syria as a distraction. A couple of months later, the heads of the Russian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirill, and the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, on February 12, 2016, met in Cuba. This is the first time in 962 years the heads of these two faiths ever met, where it is believed that Pope Francis gave Patriarch Kirill vital information that had been missing from the manuscript stolen during the 1204 Crusades. Patriarch Kirill, 4 days later, was hastily dispatched to the Antarctica, and he did not go there to bless the penguins. He was there to await for the arrival of the Admiral Vlaminski carrying the Ark of Gabriel, where he performed a sacred ceremony to allow its safer continuation, where it was escorted by a small elite group of Russian special forces to a central location in the middle of the Antarctica until the end of times. There's more. There's a lot more. Now comes President Obama and his secret visit to the Antarctica. Just before, on March 20th to 22nd, 2016, President Obama met with Cardinal Jaime Ortega, the Archbishop of Havana. Secretary of State John Kerry also attended. Did you find that strange? Right after Patriarch Kirill and Pope Francis meet in Cuba and had their secret meeting, and Obama shows up. Continuing on March 22nd to 23rd, President Obama proceeded to Argentina. On the 24th, he proceeded to the south of Argentina. People, the south of Argentina is the southern tip of South America, the closest connection point to the Antarctica. President Obama didn't go down there to see the penguins either. At the very same time, CIA Director James Clapper made a secret visit to Australia. He later retired on November 17, 2016. The following day, the Governor General of Australia made a secret visit to Antarctica. It is reported that Putin also attended virtually. April 21st, Obama went to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. November 10, 2016, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, right in the middle of the U.S. elections, decides he's going to go down to the Antarctica as well. There's more. You can find all this information on the web. On October 13, 2016, President Obama signed Executive Order number 13744. This executive order was to coordinate efforts to prepare the nation for space weather events. Extreme weather events affecting entire continents, to include the degradation of critical infrastructure, disabling large portions of the electrical grid, cascading failures affecting water supply, health institutions, transportation systems. In that executive order, it states space weather means variations in the space environment between the sun and the earth, and in brackets, and throughout the solar system. Throughout the solar system. To expect events throughout the solar system, not just between the sun and earth. So here lies a number of questions. Why does President Obama make a secret visit to the Antarctica after meeting with the Cardinal in Havana, after the leaders of the two major faiths met in Cuba? Why does the CIA director at the same time make a secret visit to Australia, and then suddenly retire on the day after the Governor General of Australia make a secret visit to Antarctica? Why does John Kerry drop what he's doing in the middle of the presidential election and go down to the Antarctica? You have the coming together of the world's three major religions in cooperation for something very serious. What can be seen from the southern polar region? Let's see. Planet X can only be seen from the south polar region. And in fact, they have built the South Polar Telescope along with the University of Chicago, and they transported it in large sections using C-130 Hercules and C-17 Globsters to the Antarctica. Speaking of Planet X, now I'd like to introduce Mr. John Moore, which I have done on a number of occasions, who has a lot of knowledge on the Planet X subject. Mr. John Moore is a former Green Beret during the Vietnam War, Special Operations, Special Ops, PSYOPs, Middle East Intelligence, and when he got out of the service, he was a homicide detective, now retired. He has provided a lot of information on the Planet X system. You will find a very good interview on Mike Adams' Brighteon channel. They will not allow that posting. I can't even put in the link. So I will tell you, if you go to Brighteon and type in Planet X warning for Earth, an interview with John Moore, the Liberty Man, you will also find news articles still on the internet confirming NASA's finding and existence of the Planet X. You will find these articles in the Washington Post, December 30th, 1983, by Thomas O'Toole. You will find another article in the New York Times, January 30th, 1983, by John Noble Wilford. And finally, in U.S. News and World Report, September 14, 1984. Now, NASA appointed Mr. Robert S. Harrington from the U.S. Naval Observatory to locate and track the Planet X. When Mr. Harrington was about to make his findings public, he suddenly and mysteriously died from sudden onset of throat cancer, suspiciously, in 1993. When NASA realized, or the U.S. government realized, that they shouldn't have said what they said, they realized, oh man, we got to come up with a cover story. The cover story, of course, was the man-made global warming. They had to explain the effects on our planet, the gravitational and electromagnetic effects a large celestial body is going to be coming in. That's why they came up with the man-made global warming CO2 narrative, and they appointed Mr. John Kerry and Al Gore to head up the narrative for the past 40 years. Precisely. Are you now getting the picture? Are you now getting it? Huh? Cover story. I heard about the so-called UFO bases, the Nazi bases and all that, and the hole to the center of the earth from the Antarctica. As far as I'm concerned, that's just another cover story to explain why everybody's been going down there. I think. I'm going to repeat what I've said so many times in previous videos, and as Mr. John Moore stated in an article in 2006. It is far easier to maintain martial law on the population if the population is already on lockdown, and as he stated in 2006, oh, I know, from a pandemic. You see where I'm going? I hope most of you, if not all of you, have finally realized over the past 3 years that the substance in this was first created. But they needed a reason to come after everybody, jibby-jabby, everybody. So they created that. Oh, excuse cough, Wuhan, pardon me. Excuse me. Obviously, as it's been proven through your U.S. Senate findings. Gain of function. Which is not a threat. So why are they building massive production facilities in my country, Canada, your country, United States, England, and Australia to produce a whole bunch of this, which is not safe and effective? Mr. John Moore, in his interview from Mike Adams, will tell you. It all comes together, man. It's all very neat at all this. And how it all aligns to the approaching timeline of the end times and tribulation. And I have been adamant. The situation in Ukraine has been one massive orchestrated distraction. Give your head a shake, bang on the wall, and wake up. Come on, everybody keeps on drawing a red line. Yeah, jump over. I dare you. Okay, I just did it. I jump over. Oh, here's my red line. Jump over. I will never send tanks. I just send tanks. I will never send F-16s. I just send F-16s. And so on. Orchestrated distraction. What if we're all living in a movie? Just like in the movies. They have to keep us dumbed down, distracted. They have to keep us busy feeding into the system for them and their bunkers. But as the Bible says, they're going to wish they never were in the bunkers. Or in the mountains crumbling down upon them. La-di-di-di-di, la-da-da-da. I think that's about it. Orchestrated distractions. Don't you find it kind of odd that the Obamas screen wrote a movie that just came out on Netflix? I can't remember the name of the movie. Something about an assumed cyber attack on the United States. The animals are going cuckoo and all that. Huh? Would you find that highly suspicious or odd, or maybe it's predictive programming? What's the news I keep on hearing all day today? There's a lot of chatter about massive cyber attacks from China on the United States. Orchestrated distractions. Cover stories. Most of what I said you can find out on the internet. Most of it. As for the Ark of Gabriel, you have to ask yourself the reason why do some of the leaders of the world make all these secret visits to the Antarctica? Why did the world's religious leaders meet? Some for the first time in almost 1,000 years. A lot happened in 2016. A gentleman by the name of Steve from Skywatch Media News, he put out a lot of information in the year 2016 about the planet X system, and then all of a sudden he went silent. Then he resurfaced earlier this year for about 1 or 2 months, and then he went silent again. I guess we should be careful. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the puzzle.